Ready?
It's for both. This is more durable, though. I like that.
Space. Well, we'll have
Let's
to
call the
ask.
meeting to order, please. Will you all please stand with me and pledge allegiance to be given by Max Horton, Little Mr. Lowell, and remain standing for the invocation by Tanya Shine.
Bow with me, please. Heavenly Father, we come to you today and we just thank you for this opportunity to gather here as a community. I pray that you would direct the city council in their decisions made here tonight. Also, protect our city economy, fire departments, and police departments. Let's also not forget the business that the city does each and every day. So as we go forward with tonight's meeting, we ask that you be present in this place. It's in Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Max, you may be excused to go to your meeting. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Linda Shimko.
Here.
Jerry Foley.
Here.
Eric Shine.
Here.
Darren Brock.
Here.
Keith Williams.
Here.
Kendall Stuckey.
Here.
Marty Latham.
Here.
Paula Allred.
Here.
We do have a quorum.
Next item is the consent agenda. Lowell City Council minutes of the regular meeting February 3rd, 2009, and the financial statement for January 2009. Any comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion they be accepted.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Darren Brock.
Yes.
Paula Allred.
Yes.
Jerry Foley.
Yes.
Kendall Stuckey.
Yes.
Linda Shimko.
Yes.
Marty Latham.
Yes.
Eric Shine.
Yes.
Keith Williams.
Yes.
Next item is a public forum. Carol Harmon.
I'll refrain until you make your closing statement, ma'am.
Pardon?
I'll refrain until you make your closing statements, if that's okay.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is the committees. I think you all received a suggestion as to how we handle the committees for 2009. There's basically two reasons for this. One, we call committee meetings. Sometimes the council members don't show, and rarely do the committee members show. Now, I think each of the staff knows the people that's interested in their particular committee, and it was felt that if we just eliminate the committees, and when the council or the mayor have a subject that needs to be discussed, call a council work session like we do at the, what we did for the budget. So. Any comments?
Mayor, I like this idea. I think we get everyone's input by handling it this way. I think it's
Thank
an
you.
excellent idea.
Anybody else? Okay, everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So moved. Thank you. Next item is award nail park signs. Sean?
couple of different options. I'd like the council to kind of give us their consent on which direction to move. In the Exhibit A, you'll see what's typically dubbed as a wing wall. There would be one each side of the entrance drive at the park. One of the benefits to that is it actually defines the entrance area. The second one, the Exhibit B, is more of the monument style sign that would be located on down east of the entrance area along the roadway. The benefit to it, you see it from both lanes of traffic as you pass by the park. As opposed to the wing walls, you wouldn't really see the actual lettering until you were there at the entrance area. Yeah, Jerry.
The placement of this item number B, the double-sided, where would you place that? You know, I understand where you put the other one on each side, but where would you put would you put it in the middle, or, I mean, where would you put it?
It would be roughly just east of where that playground unit is and to the north. And we'll have to set back, I think we're 15 feet south of the asphalt. We'd use 15 feet south of that off-street parking area. Be located in there.
And the other question, how wide is this? From a stand, okay, thickness of it.
That'll be it's a split face block material. It'll be the same like what we used, you see along the apron of the street department building. It'll be the same that's used in the park building itself.
Just one?
That same.
One row?
No, there's several rows there. That's up.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Yeah, you're roughly 4 foot tall at the corner and sloping down out to about 8 feet wide on the wing walls.
So this top end of it would be some kind of a space?
That's a cap, yeah.
Just a cap, there's a cap up
Just
there.
a concrete block
Pretty
cap.
good sized space.
Yeah. And it'll be, like I say, it's a split face block, same color, the darker color that we used in the park building. The lettering in the sign itself, either one would be of that hunter green color, so it all ties in aesthetically.
Okay. I just think maybe if it was big enough to, you know, you could put a ivy or I don't know,
Yeah.
something on top of it. Okay, thanks.
Hey, Sean, on B here,
Mm-hmm.
what materials are the sign actually made of? I see the block, but is that going
It's
to be PVC or is that going to be wood? The durability of it, is it
That
going to
one would
last?
be,
or-
it's a pretty durable PVC material. It is one of the better products for vandal resistance if it does get tagged. They're pretty easy to clean up and still holds its integrity through the solvents and the type material we have to use to get rid of graffiti. And on the wing walls, we'd be using the injection molded letters in that same color. They'd be a 6-inch tall letter.
This is like a composite wood here? Is that what this is?
It's PVC.
That is all the way, huh?
Yep.
What's the life, I mean, talking 40, 50 years? Definitely
You
going to
know,
outlast wood, huh?
It's hard to say, Kendall. It just depends on how much abuse it sees. I mean, typically you could probably put that up, and for 10 to 15 years, we won't have any issues with it. It's,
Well, I'm thinking
you see there, it's got, I think it says it's got a
5-year,
5-year
yeah.
on it that against any type of sunlight fading, cracking, or material defect. But the more sunlight exposure you have, the more abuse it receives. Of course, it's going to shorten the life.
Sean, is there going to be lighting provided for either A or B?
The lighting can be. At this time, there's not any lighting included in it, but
Okay.
yes, they can be. Just the proximity, the wing walls are easier to light than what the monument would be, since there's really not any electric service in that area, so.
Did a company do this, or is this, I mean, where did we go?
Yeah, we've got pricing on it just to get these budget numbers together.
Okay, so this probably would go out for bid, wouldn't it? Or would
Yeah.
you guys do it?
Yeah,
Or how you-
we'll do it. I mean, with the
Do it.
cost of that, we'll handle, making sure that we are getting what we're asking for.
Okay.
Sean, is there any plans in the near future to add like any cast iron fencing or anything that might affect this if we go with, because I think this would probably look pretty good if you could put a fence around it, but if this is just sitting out there, the wing wall, if that's just sitting out there in the open, I don't know how well that's gonna look. Do we
it'd
have
be,
plans of doing that?
I mean, you can kind of just think about some of these entrances in the neighborhood have them. They'll have the set of wing walls or one monument wall as you come into it.
Yeah.
You know,
But usually there's a fence that goes around with it also.
I don't recall seeing any of the fencing, but I don't, and other than building a complete cage around it, if somebody wants to get in and tag it, they're gonna.
You see a lot of them landscaped.
Landscape.
You could landscape around
I
them.
don't know how much a fence would really do. But to answer your question, no, we hadn't looked at that.
Sean, if you do B, it's not going to sit by the entrance then, right?
It would be east of the entrance, probably, let's see, we'd be 500 to 600 feet. It would be almost in line with where the edge of the parking lot, the basketball court, and that playground unit. That's kind of more centrally along that area. If I go any further east, you start going down into a low spot. So at that furthest east, highest elevation is where that would be located.
Sean, how tall is B? Did you say 4 foot or 5 foot?
B is the top of that 6 foot.
6 foot.
Yeah, you've got about an 8 foot base. The overall height will be 5 foot, rough, just a little over 5 foot at the top of that.
Okay.
And that'll run parallel with the road?
And no, it'd run perpendicular,
Vertical.
north and south, so that the
You see it
advantage
from
to that
both.
is you're coming down with the larger sign, you can see it from a further distance. That's the advantage to that sign. But, then the wing walls have their advantage as well. They're defining the entrance, and then as you get up there to it, you have your signage on it.
Could you set the wing walls at an angle?
Yeah, and you don't have to make them extreme at more of a 45 or something. You could still leave them out at about a 20 degree, still defining your entrance and still giving you a little more viewing time as traffic passes.
I believe with the wing wall signs, you'd have a little more of an opportunity to landscape the drive into the park.
With the wing walls on each side, are we looking at lettering on both sides, the same lettering on?
Yeah, they'd be just mirrored. And those are 6-inch letters on there.
A little more money, more attractive, I believe. Especially if some landscaping put around the base of it and, this and that.
What size lettering would be on sign B?
Those are 10-inch.
So this price for A is for two signs, I guess? Okay.
That's for both sides, says.
Both of them, we're fortunate enough that in our street department, we do have a block mason, brick mason. And so he's done some work for the PD on the animal control facility and was able to save some money. And, we look at having that advantage here as well.
So if we use A, there are some pole lights over there, is that gonna highlight, or we're gonna actually have to set some monument, some
Yeah, the
floods?
wing walls, see, I've got power down the edge of that driveway to the north, so just to be able to tap off one of those and extend would be real easy.
Bore underneath the drive? And there's spare capacity there to pick up a couple of lights?
Did you say how tall A is?
That's, the tallest point's 4 foot. I'm
4
sorry,
foot?
4 foot, yeah.
We have to comply with our sign ordinance.
Waiver.
Any other comments?
So I guess tonight we need to make a decision on what we want to go with, or,
That's,
We
and
would
then-
like
and then
for
we
you
can
to
work-
tonight.
yeah. I kind of like A. That's why I'm leaning to. I don't know how everyone else feels.
I'm for A too. I think durability, I think it'll last longer. I think that's got a 5-year finish on it. And you're looking at block here. I don't know.
I'll go
Everybody
with
in
A.
favor of A, hold up their hand. A has it.
Close enough.
Thank you, Sean. Next item is a resolution allowing disposal of scrap property and certification by mayor that the total value of scrap property is nil. Eric?
Good evening. Any questions?
All this doesn't work?
Yeah, a lot of this stuff was found just tucked away, stored. It was 10 or 15 years old. Some of it's green screen. I checked all of this stuff before I put it on this list, and it doesn't even turn on anymore. There's no power. It's just dead.
This is all that stuff that you were going through at the storage unit the other day?
Yes, sir.
And most of this hasn't been used for a long period of time, right?
Yes, sir.
So what's the plan? Are you just going to take it out to a landfill, or, I mean,
I've been trying to get in communication with Hazmert to see if we can take it up there and get it recycled.
so there's actually nothing that's of value in this equipment?
All this equipment on this list is no good to us. I went through everything, and I kept anything that was possibly usable.
I was going to say, if there is something that, that is usable, that we don't need, there's always like Craigslist or something like that you can post, and if someone wants it, they can come pick it up. But, just to keep it out of a landfill, if someone has some use for it, if they want to scrap part of it for, take parts out or whatever.
Yes, sir.
But, I don't know if you've looked at that, but,
Well, Hazmert's actually, they'll take it all apart and recycle everything.
okay.
Good accountability on when we do get rid of it.
Yes, sir.
Any other comments? I'll entertain a motion to approve the resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Linda Shimko,
Yes.
Jerry Foley,
Yes.
Eric Shine,
Yes.
Darren Brock,
Yes.
Keith Williams.
Yes.
Kendall Stuckey,
Yes.
Marty Latham,
Yes.
Paula Allred.
Yes.
This will be resolution number 09-04.
Committee reports and setting of committee meetings. Looks like the museum committee meeting is the second Tuesday of each month, 6 p.m. at the museum. Next item on the agenda is the ice storm, or mayor's update, ice storm damage. Carol?
You move to amend the agenda.
No, the I want to talk list.
Carol, you wanted to talk?
Go ahead and make your closing statements and then.
Okay.
There it is.
Eric, go ahead and start. These are some pictures that were taken by city employees during the ice storm. I'm sure you all have seen about all the ice you want, but hopefully this will show you the magnitude of this problem we were faced with. Our two worst areas were Jackson Street and Franklin Terrace. This is some of the cuttings that have been piled on the 6 acres. That pile right there, I believe, is 14 foot tall. 100 and, I can't remember how many feet long. There's 3 piles out there. Chris Sullivan is keeping track of all the records pertaining to the storm cleanup for reimbursement from FEMA and from the state. She's got a preliminary number of the cost to the city.
Oh, well.
These are, yeah, Share, if you don't mind, I didn't make enough copies. These are the city expenses incurred from January 31st to present. The total expenses include our contract labor for cleaning up the debris. The company's name is Drury. All city payroll, the street, the fire, the police, and all city equipment, supplies, and fuel. And that's what the top dollar is up there, and then you can see it broke down. The city council approved moving $50,000 from the street department budget to cost for the cost of the debris cleanup. The mayor negotiated an agreement with Drury to accept this $50,000 payment and the remainder of the charges to be paid once the city is reimbursed by FEMA. The anticipated FEMA reimbursement is 87.5%, which you can see is $105,772.60. So the estimated cost for the city after reimbursement is $15,000. Do you have any questions?
Any ballpark idea, Chris, how quickly we'll be reimbursed from FEMA?
No.
So this is to date, is this gonna continue to grow? I mean, there's still more debris to be cleaned up, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
There's still more.
Is Jerry still doing the cleanup, or is it our boys now, or?
We've sent them all back to Texas except one truck. And they should be done with their part in the next, probably this week. And isn't that right, Frankie? Sometime this week, I think, and the street department will finish. What's happened, we've got a lot of, they're not necessarily stragglers. There were people that didn't get their stuff out. We've gone through the city twice from I-540 East, and there's still some out there, and the street department's going to pick that up. And we have out west, we had Drury's doing Puppy Creek Road. It was horrible. And along Puppy Creek, there was a lot of trees that were blown over, fell over. They were down in Puppy Creek. Well, FEMA will allow the truck to pick up anything it can reach from the city streets. Now, as a result, some of those trees were pretty good size, so we had a saw crew come in from Drury and saw those logs up and get them out of there because they were just a bit much for our employees. They're not used to that, and we didn't want somebody down in there getting hurt. So they stayed around to do that. I believe that's where they're at now, isn't it, Frankie, on Puppy Creek? Okay, they're either out there or there was another place they had to pick up. After they get those picked up, then we'll be through with them, and the city will take care of the rest.
Have you anticipated how much, how long the city's gonna, I know that you probably don't know the answer, but how long you're planning on having a crew working on the pickup till it's gone? Is that?
Well, that probably will be the case, but we hope to have it picked up in the next couple of weeks.
I guess the point I want to make is I just want to make sure that we're trying to do everything we can to pick up the storm debris, especially, all across the town. I noticed that you're talking about the area that I represent, and you're right, Puppet Creek was awful. Spring Creek was bad, and they cleaned up Spring Creek, but it seemed like they picked up the logs that were in the road. The ones that were on the side, they're still, every day I drive home, I see piles that haven't been touched, and along Brown also. I'm just going the way I drive home every day, so.
I don't think they've been along Brown yet.
Yeah, there's a couple piles out there, like probably 10 or 12 I
Yeah,
counted.
there's some out there.
Okay, well, just as long as we're still
There's
planning
some
on
out west.
tackling them.
I had a guy on Liddell come in today, and somebody's been picking up trash piles along Liddell and around the corner on South Zion Road, and we don't know who that is. He thought it was Lowell, but because they were missing some piles, he wanted to know why they missed his. And I said, we haven't been out there. Drury hasn't been out there. We don't know who picked it up. We don't know whether the county came down in there and picked it up or not. I had called Dave Bisbee about getting some help from the county out west, but I don't know. We don't know yet who's picking it up, but we'll get out there and get it picked up.
So it's safe to say that if folks don't have stuff at the curb, they need to get it out there right away. Is that what I'm understanding?
Now, we have had some issues come up. What's happened, and it's pretty tough. We have people that live on acreage, small acreage. What they're doing is clearing their entire acreage and bringing it out for the city to pick up. They're actually trimming their trees. They're not just doing storm damage. Well, I have a call into FEMA. I didn't get an answer back yet. Where these people are trimming their trees, which is very obvious, are we supposed to pick that up? We have to be very careful because of FEMA regulations. Now, we've had people that have drug old rotted tree stumps out and everything else. We cannot pick that up because FEMA comes out and looks at our burn pile before we ever burn it. We're not allowed to set a match to it without somebody coming out and looking at it. And we have to go by their regulations. Generally speaking, the regulations, well, the trucks will only pick up what they can reach from the street. They are not allowed to get off the street. Our city employees are not allowed to get off of the streets. They can, get in the ditches to pick it up. They're not allowed to go on people's property. Can't do that. And we have had people that's cleaned their acreage and piled it out there in the back and ask us to come and pick it up, and we can't do that. We just can't risk that kind of money to the state to accommodate them, and once you explain it to them, they understand. So, but we do have some issues, and you all probably heard about some, or you'll hear about some, I'm sure, before this is over. But we will follow the FEMA rules, because no way will we sacrifice the city's rebate because of that.
Is there any way that we can get that information out to the citizens? Because honestly, I didn't know that. I mean, I didn't know people were doing that, and then I didn't know that there was that, the requirement was that strict. If there's any way that we could get that information to the citizens, I'm sure a lot of them would realize, oh, well, I'm not gonna put my limbs out there if it's gonna get denied.
Well, everybody's well aware, if they listen to the radio and TV, this is a storm damage for municipalities and certain nonprofits. It's not for individuals and businesses and developers.
But sometimes if you spell that out and actually send them something to read, usually people, if they read it, you know, it actually hits them that, hey, I'm not gonna be able to go out and, you know, trim my trees and leave the limbs out for the city to come pick up. I can't do that. I didn't know if there was some way that we're communicating with the citizens and letting them know.
We have no way of communicating with them unless we print up flyers and hand deliver to every place. We're counting on them listening. Now, we've had people, and everybody ought to know this, you should know it. Don't put those limbs under electric lines, because those guys will not pick them up. And we've had people do that, and they complained. Don't put them up against a fence. They can't pick it up. We've had them laying over fences. We've had people put them on fire hydrants. You know, how do you
Well, is this
think of all
information-
these things to tell people, don't do this?
Is this information on our website, telling people what not to do and what they should do and what they should be putting out there to pick up?
I heard him saying it on the news tonight.
I've checked the website, and all I see when I see storm debris is it says go to Lincoln for the drop-off, and then if it's obviously when that was closed, it sends you to Cemetery Road out here, and then that was closed, so then it sends you to Stony Point. I made a run Monday and found all that out, but I didn't see anything about to the curb. I've been seeing people put piles, wondering if, and I knew that some pickup was happening based off the minutes and the conversations I've had with others, but I never saw anything, you know, published anywhere, and I don't think we should send out a flyer, but, you know, hitting all the local news, Kerm, you know, all the other channels, and on the radio, and then also TV, I assume that was, I don't know if it was done, I didn't see anything from there, or heard anything.
I didn't put anything in the newspaper, and everybody else, the public, you know, the FEMA people were on TV, and I just assumed that people would listen, and
But I think we should at least on our website publish that, you know, if you have it, drag it to the curb. If it's storm debris, make it very clear what it needs to be, not trimming and not cutting down trees, but if you have storm debris, you need to get it to your curb, make sure you stay away from fire hydrants, gas lines, electric lines, all those things. Someone just needs to spell that out so someone can hit a link and say, okay, that's what we're doing. Because I just think, a lot of the reports I was getting from folks is people weren't informed, they didn't really know what to do with it. They had this pile and they didn't know where to haul it. I was telling them that the site was going to be open on Lincoln, they could take it out there, but a lot of people don't have trucks or are physically able to load it in the truck.
we've had a lot of people haul it out there. We had to close Lincoln Street. That 6 acres was filled up. Even after we burned one pile, it was filled up. And we routed them out to Frisco Cemetery Road. The county, Dave Bisbee, let us use his.
And that one's filled up now.
Which one?
The Frisco County was filled up.
Well, there's 2 out there.
Well, I know the one Stony Point, which is right at the Y to the left, that one's still going, because I went Monday
Yeah.
and was able to.
The first one filled up,
Right.
yeah.
I just think if we can get something on our website, letting the folks know what's going on, at least that's better than what's out there now. And everyone an opportunity, and I guess it'll go down that we're still picking up what we can. But I agree with you, if people are, you know, have acreage and they're cutting down trees and trying just an opportunity to get rid of it, we can't, right? Because I'm concerned about what you said about the FEMA not reimbursing us, because we need to take advantage. But on the flip side, we need to get all our ditches and everything cleaned up, I feel, and take advantage of the FEMA reimbursement where we can.
We've had people, we have one case right now. The man was told, we cannot pick that up. We're not in the tree trimming business. He still drug it all out next to the curb, laying in the ditch. The next rain we have, the water will go over the road. So.
Are we prepared to send law enforcement ordinance out there and cite them? Is that the next step? If he's been
I hope
warned,
it
I don't
doesn't
know.
go that far.
Yeah, I don't know what
You
we're
know,
talking about.
we're trying to work it out. It's just, you know, and I can understand, people. It is disheartening. You can't put it in the landfill. You either got to burn it or chip it. If you chip it, you've got to provide a certification to FEMA. What did you do with the chips? You can't just chip it and pile it up. So, you know, we have to go through the proper process, that's for sure. Carol?
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to ditto what Kendall had to say. And as far as anybody coming out to South Zion, they were out there last week. And the street department cleaned up the portion of Zion that is unpaved. And they hauled off several loads, dump truck loads of limbs. And along behind those fellows picking up the limbs was the tree trimming truck, the crew. And there are several places on Zion and on Liddell where nothing was picked up. And I can see why my neighbors were a little concerned when they see the city dump truck out there bulging with limbs being hauled off and then not coming back and finishing up the rest of the neighborhood. And there's some limbs that are actually in the road and hard to get around. There was a tree that was fallen, roots uprooted, and there's a stump there about 4 feet tall with the roots attached that it'll take a backhoe and a dump truck to haul that off. And it is in the right-of-way on Liddell, the corner of Liddell and Zion.
Yeah, it's,
And after the the tree trimming crew went through, there's a top that fell out of the tree that's laying in the middle of the road now. So you can't get around it.
when you see things like, just call us so we'll know, otherwise we don't know.
Well, I didn't find it until today.
Okay.
But this was after they had come through and the winds blowed it down.
Mhm. There've been a lot of them fall afterwards. They've had to go back in several places.
And there was an incident when they were trimming the trees. This was when we still had ice. And they were throwing the limbs over onto private property instead of taking it and putting it in the back of a dump truck.
Who was doing that?
Street department. I can't name names. I don't know who they are. It was just the street department that was doing that.
Where was it at?
In front of my house.
You know when it was?
Probably a week and a half ago. A week ago.
Were they throwing them over the fence?
Yes.
I'll check into it.
And one fella, he stood out there for about 15 minutes and used some pruning shears and trimmed a rose bush. And it's still laying in the road.
Okay.
But like I said, I did what Kendall had to say. If you can get an article in the paper and let everybody know when pickup in their neighborhood's going to be, I know everybody would be glad to accommodate. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is the Christie Creek sewer line. The preliminary design of this sewer line has been completed, and we have it now to review. Once the review of the preliminary is finished, we'll send it back to the engineers to complete the final design. The plans are to still have that sewer line built by the end of the year. Next item is the 264 Industrial Park Sewer Line. It's out west. Here again, we're waiting. We don't have the preliminary done on that. We're waiting on the engineers to provide us some information before we move forward. Both of these lines, we have business and development participation in, because without the participation, these two sewer lines cannot be built. And we've had very good reception from some businesses and developers to help pay for this line up front. The next item is a Highway 264 from 540 to Gold Springs Road. Well, a couple or 3 months ago, or I guess it's longer than that, right after we finished the I-540 sewer line, there was a couple of guys from the state came in, and when they were wondering where the sewer line is, and I asked them why, and they're wanting to do some work at the intersection. The intersection, they want to extend the through lane that goes over 264 and then widen the exit lane off of 264 going south on 540. So we've had a request into the state about widening 264 from 540 to Spring Creek Road. So last week we had a meeting with the highway department over the intersection out here, and they were going to widen the road part way to make room for that through lane. We wanted to talk to them about why don't we just take that on to Gold Springs Road at this time. And they were favorable to look into it. We were suggesting a 3-lane road, but much to our surprise, they told us that traffic on 264 is almost to the point that warrants a 5-lane road right now. They would not entertain 3-laning from 540 to Gold Springs Road at all. If we were interested, it would have to be 5 lanes. So that's where they're at. They're working on some numbers, and if we can transfer our money from the traffic signal out there, it's pretty much a consensus agreement that that's what we should do. This would help Gold Springs develop, possibly help the Red Dirt Farm. It does have great potential for development. So we'll have to see how that goes. But that's where we stand, and we're waiting to hear back from them of what we do next. I forgot the most important part of our ice storm project. Eric, would you show the creeks and drainage, please? I want to back up a little bit here. We have lots of creeks and drainage areas that the city has to clean out. FEMA will not pay to clean those out. If they can't reach it off of the road, well, very few of these are off of the road. And that's going to be quite a task for our street department. They've got a bundle of work ahead of them. That ditch right there will not drain. When it rains, it will flood dogwood. That's dogwood going east. Okay, now to encounter this problem, we have 2 very ingenious employees in our street department. How are they going to pick that stuff up out of those creeks? Well, Jimmy and Frankie put their heads together and built an attachment to go on the Volvo that would have cost the city about $5,000. These two gentlemen designed and built this attachment. Put the next one there. There's the fork. I think there's a better picture of it. See the two forks up? Frankie even cut teeth in it. So we're real proud of that piece attachment right there. It saved this city about $5,000, and it makes it to where they can get in there and pick that stuff up and load it without having to load it manually. But I did want to show you that. That is the monster is what we call that. So, okay, thank you, Eric. So I think the city owes Jimmy and Frankie quite a thanks for coming up with that. Okay, let's move on here. Dixieland Road, I tried to get a hold of Charles Reeves today, and I never did get my call returned. So as far as I know, it's still where it's at, and that is, we don't know. Next item is Lincoln Street. Deco Contractors won the bid on that. They've started surveying, and they'll probably have a pre-construction meeting either the latter part of February or the first week in March. They should still get that street built by the end of the year. Next one is Robinson Street. The contract has been let on that. Deco Contractors got that one also. We're not as far along on that one. We had some issues that have to be resolved before the contractors can go forward.
Mr. Mayor, I noticed they've been doing some work out there. How much longer will it be before they actually start?
I don't know. We got utilities work to do, and did we ever get the last right-of-way back?
Yeah.
We got it back today?
He'll come in to sign, but you approved everything, and all we like is him to sign.
But we don't have it signed yet.
We're in the same time frame as Lincoln. We're having to file for the SWEP, and as soon as we know that SWEP can take about 2 weeks, we'll have the pre-con meeting, and the construction can start. NECO's gonna start on our water line and on the box culvert, so in that time frame, all the buildings will be out of the way.
The utilities will be out of the way in the next 2 weeks.
Well, we've got 30 days, I'm saying by the time we let NECO start, they do their water line and the box culvert, that'll be more than enough time that utilities will be removed.
Okay.
What he's seeing now is AT&T's line being,
So we're looking at, what, 30 days to
got a hold up the stops, and they're using the storm as an excuse, and that put them behind, and so they're having to do their emergency stuff, and then they'll get back to moving their line that you see overhead on the south part of Robinson.
Any questions on any of these projects?
Last meeting, they said they wanted to set a meeting. The last council meeting, they wanted to
Cancel it. Or set one up?
set. No, they wanted to set one.
Oh, okay,
They were
okay.
supposed to set this stuff.
Anybody have any questions on any of the projects?
Now, Robinson will take about, a year to finish? Is that?
We plan to have them all done. No, it won't take a year on that. That's not that tough.
Because I know there's a lot of fill that's got to be done on there.
Got a copy of
I think you guys are actually, the street's being raised like 5 feet or something.
Has to do with
In addition to the storm work, Jimmy and his people will serve as the city inspectors on these jobs and project coordinators. So The street department is loaded to the hilt for this year. Any other questions? Any comments?
Mayor, I have one thing that I want to add. I was visiting with a gentleman this afternoon that lost his home over the night last night, and he lives just outside the city of Lowell. And he could not believe the fact that they didn't take nearly as long as what he had imagined they would take to get to his house from the time he called. The fire department did, as he described, a fabulous job, and wanted me to bring that to the council this evening and just say that he appreciated everything that they did. He did have a complete loss, but he didn't even imagine that they would get there in the time frame that they did. And that he just wanted to convey his thanks to the city for being able to help him out as much as they did.
Okay, thank you.
I'm hearing more.
You say someone wants to set up an ordinance meeting?
Well, last meeting, the council said that we would wait till tonight to set the ordinance committee meeting.
Get on the agenda and discuss it. It sounds like.
It's gonna be a work session, I guess.
Huh?
It'll be a work session,
Be a
correct?
work session.
All right.
Anyway, she's.
Does the council want to set a work session regarding, I guess it's about the yard parking?
Yes. I'm trying to.
The document you all disproved, the council sets a time and place. Council selects one of their members to conduct the meeting and another to take notes. Here, any suggested dates?
It's available on the schedule, Jeanette.
Pardon?
Wide open.
What's available for next week?
Next week, we're wide open.
Thursday?
Thursday's available next week,
What now?
26th.
Want to do it on the 26th?
Yep,
6 o'clock here?
6 p.m.
26th, 6 o'clock, here in the council room.
And who's in charge and who's secretary?
Who's going to be leading the yard parking?
I can.
Okay, Paula?
And notes, secretary?
Okay. Anybody in the audience or any of the council members that have any comments
Be there.
about the yard parking, they need to get them in writing and get them to us, and we'll get them to Paula. We'll gather them up, or you can send them straight to Paula.
We need another member to take notes. We need another member to take notes.
Oh, we can do that when we get there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will notify the
Any
press.
comments? Any other items the council wants to talk about? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
If there's no objection, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Thank you all for coming.
So we do, it's rough when you're not here, Darren.
I think you sit here for